Over on the side, if I select Edit Filters, I'm given the ability to filter on more than just time. For each individual question, for instance, how would you rate your overall experience today, I can come in and hit this View Analytics button, which will bring up a prompt on the side. This panel on the side is going to give me a breakdown of this question. All right, coming back to your dashboard, you now have advanced survey metrics that will appear here. That will be things, they're widgets you can turn on and off inside of editing the survey. So if you don't want certain things, you can remove them. Along the top, we've covered surveys and groups and organizations. Now we're going to look at the My Tools section. If I click on My Tools, you're going to see 5 different sections or 5 different tools that you can use. The first set of tools are action plans. Action plans are simply a project management tool to help you be able to turn the feedback that you're getting into real action inside of your organization. I can create action plans that are tied to an individual piece of feedback or that are not associated with feedback at all. For instance, I can come in and say, I'm going to create a new action plan. And this is going to be the really awesome training videos that we're making. I'm going to give a description. We need to make really awesome training videos. And a category. Doesn't look like I have a category that fits here. Maybe quality assurance. I'm going to say this is a critical one. Actually, I'm going to add a category of training. And it's critical. I'm going to say this is due next week. I'm going to assign this to myself. And I'm going to create my plan. You see now in my drafts are this really awesome training video. Well, we're currently filming the training video, so I'm going to move it to in progress. Now it's currently in progress. I can come into it and say, do I want to link some feedback to it? If I want to link some feedback, I find the survey, and I can find either the question with its score or the text response someone may have mentioned. And I think you can offer more programs. I'm going to link that to my feedback here. So I know why we're doing this because it's linked to that piece of feedback. I also can see the assignees, like I'm assigned, I can add more people if I want, or I assign more people down here, or I can add tasks. And one of them is make the action plan video. I'm going to assign that to myself and give it a due date a few days before this entire thing is due. I can add as many tasks as I want and assign it to as many people as I want. They're going to get emails reminding them of these tasks and the need to complete them. When I've completed this, I can just come in and say, yeah, I did that. I got that task done. And it's going to show me that currently we're 100% done as we've completed each task. From there, I'm going to move it to my under review to make sure that things are actually completed. And when this is all the way done, I can move it to completed. And from here, I say, great, this was completed. Do I want to add that to a feedback board? Which is something we'll get into in the future as we go through all of these tools. But I'm going to say, sure, I'm going to add that to my lobby board, and I'm going to share what was done. And it then populates with the feedback that we're working on. I think you could offer more programs, and we are doing really awesome training videos. The status is complete, and I'm going to say this is a category of documentation. And I'm going to publish that immediately. And that'll be added to that feedback board. That is action plans. They're meant to be very simple, straightforward project management tools to help you be able to turn the feedback you're getting into action. My next tool that I'm looking at is a feedback board. A feedback board is a way to be able to show people what you're working on as an organization. The feedback loop consists of 5 parts. We want to ask, collect, analyze, implement, and notify. Most organizations understand the asking, collecting, and implementing well, or analyzing well. Most groups also get the implementing done pretty well. What often we fail to do is notify. Notifying is letting people know that may have given us feedback in the past or may have a possibility of giving us feedback in the future, what is going on and how we're implementing things based off of their feedback. When they see this, it drives a virtuous cycle to help them give more feedback and even better feedback. And so we've created digital ways to be able to display that inside of your organization, hence feedback boards. You can have as many feedback boards as you want. Feedback boards are traditionally and often ran on a TV inside of an organization. Let me show you how this works. As you come into a feedback board, like for instance, maybe this lobby board, I can come in and manage it. I have a few things. First, I have a TV display code. Each feedback board can use the Pulse for Good feedback board app to be able to display this feedback board on an Android TV. Or if you happen to have an Android device, display it there. How this looks, I can see by clicking this Preview TV button. It just is a fancy slideshow that shows what people have said and what we're doing about it, as well as a QR code for them to give feedback as well. You also have the ability to add custom slides and show more information if you'd like to. This is what would be running on the TV if I connected it using the TV display code. I also have the ability to show a public link that I could put on a website that just shows a nice view of what is in progress, what we're working on, and what's been completed. Now, if I want to add something to this board, I come in and just hit Add Item. I can either add something from an action plan or standalone. In here, I can say, you wanted a good way to display the feedback that you're working on. We made feedback boards so you can display them digitally. And I add that item, and now it's a new one that's going to display here. Now, these are great, but maybe I want another custom slide. I come in here and say, okay, we have an announcement for winter hours. I'm going to do another one and say we have a new event coming up. Our Christmas party is in July this year. For real, Christmas in July is awesome. And I'm going to put this here, and I'm going to change the color. And I say I want it to display for 20 seconds. And I add that. So I've now added these two new slides. If I come to my TV rotation, I can see here are the various things. We're currently displaying these. Maybe I want this announcement to be the second thing that's displayed. I just drag it there, and it will show this is the order these slides are going to go in between. As I come in, I can now hit Preview, and I should see after this first slide, the new slide that I just added, which will be our Christmas party or winter hours. You see our Christmas party in July this year. All right. I can even come in and change some of the branding and themes on here. If I wanted to add our organization's logo, change the name, change the title or the colors, I'm able to do all of those things. I can see the TV connection and change the slide interval, how often slides are changing. I can change the content of the header, change display options, share the URL of the board if I just want to share the board itself, embed it into a website, or have a QR code that people can scan and view the feedback board. Feedback boards are meant to be easy ways to be able to display what you're working on in a way that shows people that you care about feedback and it's not just going into a black box somewhere. All right, we've gone over action plans and feedback boards, two incredible tools. We have a few more to go. The next one is AI interviews. AI interviews are meant to supplement surveys. Surveys are very structured. You're going to ask the same question every time. However, sometimes the best way to get feedback is asking unstructured questions where your responses are based off of what people answer. Hence, AI interviews. Traditionally, people used to conduct interviews in person. That's still a wonderful option, and we'd highly recommend it. However, it doesn't scale particularly well. You can, however, now run these interviews either inside of a survey. So, for instance, they can answer 5 or 6 structured questions and then do the interview, or just run the interview itself. Or you can send an email with just the interview link itself and run it that way. Let me show you how some of this works. For instance, this is our Make Pulse Better AI interview. I'm going to come in and I'm going to preview this so you see what it's like, right? It says, just between us, no managers are watching. What should we improve? I'm going to say the snacks could be better. It then is going to read my response and respond accordingly and give us another question that's hoping to dive deeper into my response and help me understand more of why they gave the feedback they're giving. For instance, what specific snacks do you think we should add or change? And I'm going to say, I think we need more Fairlife protein. it's going to be able to read through these and give me a bunch of different responses and questions. Allow me to give individualized feedback that doesn't follow any one set pattern or standard. The only thing that I'm really setting up here is how many follow-up questions I want to ask. So at the end of it, it'll say thank you and move on. Now let me show you how we do these. If I come in and I hit edit, I then am able to change basic information around this. First, I say, okay, what's the name of the script? What are we trying to accomplish in the description? How many follow-up questions should we have? We set it at 5. The first question that we want to have asked, and then I can pick how the AI should behave. Should it be friendly and casual? Should I have it direct and efficient, professional and neutral, warm and empathetic? The language that it's asking, I can pick how in-depth we want it to follow up, how specific we want the questions, and how emotionally sensitive we want. And then I can give it just a prompt to help it understand what's going on there and what type of style or things we're trying to accomplish. I can add crisis detection, so it can automatically flag and escalate issues. PII protection, so it can remove names or things like that. Or I can even allow people to skip questions. And then I save that template. Once it's saved, from there, I can either come in and view the individual one itself and all of the responses. I can, up here, create a direct link that I can send to people so they can just take it directly. Or I can deactivate it if I don't want people taking these anymore. Inside of each of the responses, I can come in and say, okay, for instance, this was taken in a standalone, so it's not part of the survey. It was 5 questions deep, took them 2 minutes and 13 seconds to complete, and I can view the transcript and I can see what people are answering and how they're answering them. I can even see an AI analysis and breakdown of that answer. Right? Looks like someone wants us to create a cozy lounge area. We can go from there. Inside of here, I could then flag it and explain why we're flagging this and why it needs to be talked about. These interviews then funnel into reports that you can run at an organization level where you can get reports on all of the interviews that you're currently running and find patterns and trends that emerge from them. AI interviews can be a powerful way to supplement your feedback process. The structured form of surveys tend to work better in general, but this is a good way to be able to follow up and get some other topics that you may not be able to cover inside of your structured surveys. Coming back to my tools, the next thing we have is listening sessions. Listening sessions are meant to be things like lived experience boards or focus groups, anywhere where we're conducting a listening session outside of the Pulse system, but want to store that information inside of it. How this works is I come and I hit add a listening session, fill out the basic information, give it a name, explain the participants that are there, who the facilitator was, when it was, and then eventually add a transcript. When I do this, it will then generate a summary of what's going on inside of this listening session. And I can pull reports similar to the AI interviews where we'll pull out topics that are mentioned in these conversations that may have overlap with our surveys and our AI interviews. It's a great way to be able to create documentation around things like our board meetings, where we can see patterns and trends emerging over time. Lastly, grievances. Grievances are an incredibly powerful tool, but by nature, a grievance is an identified system. Right? I can't submit a grievance without being able to tell you who I am, because I can't expect a resolution without being able to share that information. And so our grievance platform actually lives outside of Pulse for Good. It's a system called Concerns. It's completely free, up to 20 grievances at a time. And if you're a Pulse for Good customer, it's completely free for as many grievances as you may have. So if you have a group that can't afford Pulse but wants to use the Concerns platform, they're more than welcome to. To do so, you can come up here and select Grievances. It's going to open Concerns. Inside of Concern, you're going to be able to go in, sign in, log into your account, and from here, be able to see all the grievances that people have submitted. Grievances don't have to be submitted through a survey, although you can. If I come into one of my surveys, I edit it, I can add a grievance question. Come in, I'm going to select grievance. I need to have my organization slug. My organization slug is in my settings of my grievance. I have this test org here. From here, I paste it in here. I can choose to show the phone field or the desired outcome field. I'm going to include both. The priority, I'm going to say this is critical, and it includes contact information, category selection, detailed description, and it's enabled. I'm going to hit save. What you're going to see when we take this survey is a grievance shows a very different type of question where they're very clearly not anonymous anymore. And it explains to them that their grievance is not tied to their survey response. So they can still share things that may be a little uncomfortable to share in a grievance inside of the survey, while being able to share that grievance information that you might need to be able to improve your services and help them with whatever scenario they're in. As I come in and preview this, we've got this first question. I'm going to say, yep. And now I get this, right? Where it says, hey, this is a formal grievance. It is not anonymous. Your contact information is going to be shared. They come in and they fill out their information, including selecting the category, the priority, the subject, the description, and desired outcome. They then hit submit grievance, or they skip, and they're brought back to the survey to be able to fill things out. As soon as they submit the grievance, it then goes into your dashboard on concerns, and it will come in a new grievance that looks like this, right? That says, I fought someone. Description, this sentence references more than 50 characters. Clearly, this is a test grievance that's been filled out, and I can see it was submitted. From here, I can change its status, have it in progress, resolved, or closed. I can change the priority, low, high, or medium. I can assign it to somebody to be working on. And I can have it track through the system and see what's getting done and what's happening with it. As I change different things in the grievance, for instance, maybe I assign it to somebody, or maybe the status has changed, the person that submitted the grievance is going to get email updates so they see what's going on, and allows you to communicate with them to say, this is what we're doing about the grievance process. It's a very simple system, but it works very well. If I come into my board view, I'm able to see each of my grievances in the current status. For instance, I can see all the resolves or in progress, right? For instance, this one, if a meeting is actually at 3:15, please start on time. As I move it to resolved, it'll give me the option of explaining why it was resolved. And so I'm going to say, hey, this was withdrawn, or no action needed, or resolved, and we updated meeting times. And as I mark that as resolved, the person that submitted that grievance is now going to get an email saying, we've updated the meeting times. This is how we've resolved this grievance. And they can go from there. Grievances are a powerful tool, and it's a natural addition to your feedback system, particularly if you're running anonymous feedback, to be able to try and help those that have a problem right now that requires a solution that doesn't match anonymous data, but allows you to still gather that anonymous data, so it allows them to share things they feel uncomfortable with in a different setting. We have alerts. Alerts are when I want to be able to be notified immediately if there's a problem inside of my system. Now, this is a self-set-up alert, so it's not going to give me a notification if, for instance, my kiosk is offline. Those are things that will happen regardless. This is an alert that I trigger based off of answers to the questions. For instance, if I come in, I can say, new alert's a great name. If I get a 1 star is going to be my description. And I'm going to say, when my rating is less than or equal to 1 star, we're going to make this a critical alert, and I want it to send me an email. I can also send an in-app notification or a webhook. And I can select who to send it to. Do I want all users with alert access? That'll be all admins and owners on your survey. Do I want to do it by role, where I can select which role should get it? I could select only admins, only users that have the viewer role, any of those type of things. Or I can come in and just select a specific user. And they will then get an email anytime someone submitted a 1-star review. I can also deactivate it if I want at this point as well. There is another level of alerts that our system allows that can be even more powerful, and that's alerts on free text questions. If If I scroll down to this one, what do you wish was here? I can come over here and enable this AI text analysis. What this will do is every time someone responds, it will then go through and review the response and make a determination of if it needs to tell you immediately about the response that's being offered. This can be particularly helpful if you're in a situation where you may care about the individual's mental health or well-being, or where there's concerns of self-harm or violence. These alerts are going to have different levels. For instance, critical will be the highest, in which case it will email you immediately and every owner and admin on the survey and say, hey, here's the problem and here's what's been detected. Now, dealing with vulnerable populations, you can get a lot of false positives with these types of alerts, which is why we don't turn them on by default. However, if you feel like this is something that is important, you would just toggle this enable AI text analysis, and from there, every one of them will be reviewed. Critical alerts are sent out immediately. High-level alerts are sent out also immediately, but with less fanfare. It tends to go to just who the owners are of the system. And then mid-level or even low-level alerts are sent out, but on a lesser cadence. You'll get them a few days later if it's trying to let you know something's happening. It'll also try to identify why it was alerted. For instance, if it detects self-harm, it'll be very clear this is why. Or if it detects something like a water leak, it'll explain why and why it thinks you need to be notified in the time frame that you're notified in.